Staying calm has not always been my strong suit. I'm gonna be really honest about that. From a young age, I have been a very reactive sort of person. And that's manifested into depression, anxiety over the years, not experiencing life. And in the past few years, I made a real commitment to understanding how to be calm. And this year, I've really realized the fruits of that experience. We know that you were born magical. We know that you are intuitive, and we know that you are brimming with everyday enchantment. Here at the Sisters Enchanted, we believe in intention, we believe in intuition, and we believe in everyday magic. Welcome in to the Expedition to Soul podcast. Today's podcast episode is all about how to stay calm, but really how I stay calm. So, the first thing I want to just remind everybody of is obviously I'm not a therapist, I'm not a medical doctor. So, see your people, get your help as needed. This is my experience. And where is this experience coming from? And why are we talking about how to stay calm? Well, here at the Sisters Enchanted, we work with women, mainly like ages 35 to 65. So that's a pretty big range, right? And in there, we hear time and time again from people who are like, I just, people rely on me or need me to speak up for them, or there's all these life things that happen and I just can't stay calm. Like I can't remember who I am in those moments. I can't ground myself. I can't get centered. I let everything get the best of me. And it's really, I think, a challenge and I for most people. And I think that this challenge comes from all of just pent up years of being the good person, of trying to be a certain way, and in trying to be a certain way, forgetting who you are and then lacking confidence in yourself. Plus, being told time and time again by society that we as women don't know what we're talking about and need to be like handheld and told what's right and what our views are. And that's just nonsense. But I think that, generations of that experience really energetically have created this place where we second guess ourselves and then we can't remain calm and then we feel like fools for not remaining calm and see it's proof that I can't remain calm and it's just a whole mind situation that happens. And I think that for some people too, there are just other things at play. So I have experience with anxiety, depression, and I remember, I was in my early 20s, I believe, and I was really just anxious about meeting new people, like really, really anxious about it. And if I didn't have an acquaintance or a friend that was going to be with me somewhere, I just wouldn't go. And being in my 20s and a college graduate, and I had a full time job with a big company, I mean, there were plenty of opportunities for me to get out there and meet people and experience life and network and just like events I could go to. And I would get so anxious and like couldn't be calm. And then on the other hand, I've experienced where my feelings have been so hurt or past stories have come up and I just want to be heard. Like I want to tell my side of the story and I want to be seen, acknowledged, validated and heard, right? But in that quest to be heard, sometimes, I might react or say something that I regret saying or say something from just a place of frustration without a holistic view that I don't really mean and I didn't need to say the way I said it. So there's two sides of this calm thing for me. There's the anxiousness where I'm not calm in my body and who I am, and then there's the overreacting sort of definitely not calm, I'm overreacting. And I've experienced them both to varying degrees throughout my whole life. But now I can say over the past few years, I've been really efforting this somatic somatic healing and healing my body, getting in my body and understanding what it means to feel calm. And I will say that this year in 2023, I have had so many things happen this year that in the past would have knocked me completely kilter, and definitely would have said things that I didn't mean or would have lashed out or blamed. And this year, I mean, from people that I trusted sort of, really really hurting me to relationships that kind of came back into my life unexpectedly to that, in the past would have definitely like made me very anxiety ridden. Um, to just, the strife of being a small business in a time where prices of everything are high and people are really aware of that. There's a lot of stuff that has come my way this year that in the past would have really, really messed me up. And this year I have been calmer than ever. And I will say, and I'll shout this from the mountaintops, I started taking the supplement ashwagandha in January 2023. So it's been 9 months. I'm not a medical professional. Talk to your doctors, like hear contraindications with any medications you're on. But that's one thing I've been doing, and and Pilates. I also started doing Pilates, just home mat Pilates, and also with resistance bands because I don't have room for like a Pilates reformer machine that they take up a ton of space. And I travel a lot, so taking classes outside the home isn't super ideal so that I can just have my stuff with me. So Pilates with resistance bands, also the ashwagandha. I have a sauna blanket and I'd like to go to float tanks. And I have not, though, in the past 3 months been doing those things, as much just because of life circumstance and, like, getting that done. But some things I definitely do, and I walk a lot, like, I go on walks and hikes, so that embodiment sort of somatic healing where I'm working on my body. But in terms of what do I do in a moment when I want to freak out and not be calm at all and completely lose my shit on somebody? Or just on the universe. What do I do? How do I stay calm? Okay, I got 3 things that I do that I'm gonna share with you today. So, the first thing that I do, we teach this framework, it's called the 5 I expansion spiral, and it starts with intention, and the question there is, "How do I want to feel?" So, the very, very first thing I do, I get in my body. I just put my hands on my body somehow. I get in my body and I ask myself, "Self, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel?" And that is a great way to anchor into what you want to be feeling, not what you are feeling right now. So how do I want to feel? When I feel like and an example of this in my daily life, I'm a parent of 2 neurodiverse kids with sensory things, and sometimes that can feel really just overwhelming. And so in those moments, I'll ask, how do I want to feel? Because when I know how I want to feel, I can try to set the tone for that. I can try to adjust my expectations to that feeling. I can try to let go of my, the outcome that I'm wishing to have and just say, how can I now feel the way I want to feel? Right. And this framework that we teach sort of walks you through that, but it starts with how do I want to feel? So that's one thing I do to get calm is I think about our framework and I start with that question, how do I want to feel? And often just knowing the answer to that helps you to seek out the opportunity to feel that way. So how do I want to feel? In control is often mine. I want to feel in control when I'm feeling really not calm. I want to feel in control. I want to feel heard maybe. Um I want to feel energetic or I want to feel valued. And then when you understand how you want to feel, that can awaken you to why you're not feeling that way right now and also help you to see whether or not that's actually possible and then what your next move is going to be. So that's the first thing. Now, this next one that I'm going to share, I get feedback from this that some people just cannot do this. And so I think that if you're a person who really can get into a mind spiral of bad things, certainly, that's like get your therapy for that, work with your therapist. But the next thing that I do is I ask, what's the worst that could happen? And this is where I hear about how for some people that wouldn't work for them. For me, this is one of the things that I use, which is why I'm sharing it with you. But I will ask, what's the worst that could happen? So like I'm a business owner. I'm the sole income earner in my family. That comes with a lot of financial pressure, right? I am a parent. I make risky decisions all the time. I take my kids hiking, or sometimes we have to do some rock scrambling to get through. The fact that our sole family income relies on me and this business I've created. Like there's a little bit of risk in that. What if I pick up the phone and say this thing? What if I don't pick up the phone and say this thing? And I'll ask myself, well, what's the worst that could happen? And then I that helps me to it helps me to calm catastrophic thinking. Some people, I get the feedback that that would turn on their catastrophic thinking. So if that's you, ignore that strategy. But for me, it really helps me to see like, all right, actually, it's probably the worst thing is not going to be, in the end of the world, everyone will be healthy and okay. And so it's worth it to take the risk. It's worth it to try the thing. Recently we hosted an online event and we've had thousands of people sign up for events over the years. And we had 16,000 people sign up for this event that we hosted. And it's not the first time we've had that many people. We've had 16,000 people sign up before. But on the first day of our live calls for this event, we had almost 700 people there live. And that is the most we've ever had at one time on a live like camera event. And I saw those numbers just like creeping, creeping, jumping, jumping, jumping. And for reference, the most we'd had to that point was 450 people. And that had only happened once, and it was a few years back. And our team was like not well prepared for it to manage sort of the crowd and the comments and things. And they did great, but it was really overwhelming for everybody. Afterwards, everybody was like, oh my gosh, that was so hard. And so when I saw these numbers like 501, 572, 602, I had to ask myself that question, what's the worst that could happen right now? Because I was starting to feel very anxious and nervous. And then also just worried about Team TSC, who like we didn't know that that many people would come. I mean, obviously it could happen because the number signed up, but we weren't expecting it. And that really helped me to calm down and say, well, what's the worst that could happen right now? Really nothing. I'm on camera and I say something dumb. Someone says something mean to me in a comment. Like that's not going to, I'll walk away from this and go get an ice cream sundae and it's going to be fine. I'll go, go for a hike. It's going to be fine. So for me, asking that question, what's the worst that can happen, really helps me to minimize my catastrophic thinking. Again, that one doesn't work for everybody. So take it or leave it. I do find that the people who it works well for uh, are people who already are a little bit risk averse to begin with. Like I'm very risk averse. I don't really worry too much about risky things. And I find it works in that for that kind of people, for that kind of person. So take that as you will. All right. And then my third thing that I do to stay calm, no matter what. So far use the framework that we teach, our 5I framework. I run through that thing like 100 times a day. And I start with, how do I want to feel? Number two, what works for me is to ask, what's the worst that could happen? And again, that's not going to work for everybody. And then number three, the third thing that I do is I ask myself why I want to do, like, what is my goal here? Why do I want this to happen? What is my why in this moment? So when I'm feeling not calm, if it's because of an interaction with my kids or my husband, and I'm feeling really like upset or, not in control or overwhelmed or mad at somebody, I'll ask like the situation that caused it, well, why is that important to me? And then that helps me to articulate what's going on with me. And it also helps me to understand again what is going on for me in that moment. Because it could be that, I'm just mad because somebody didn't, maybe I tripped over the laundry basket and now I'm mad that I worked all day and no one put the clothes away and no one ever helps me. And what's wrong with this house? And I'm just on a whole tangent of mad. But if I ask myself, well, why does this matter? Then I might be able to calm down and realize actually it doesn't. My toe just hurts. Like that was just painful and now I'm mad. Like why does this matter to me? I've shared this experience of this live call that we did, and really for asking like what is the worst that could happen? I could also remind myself, well, why, if I'm feeling anxious, well, why am I here? What am I here for? Why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this to begin with? And for me, it's because I'm passionate about what we do and I want to change people's lives and I want women to feel confident and I want people to tap into nature and the magic of the universe. And I desire that for as many people as possible. So knowing that helps me to remember that I know why I'm doing this and it's important, and it helps me to calm down. and just get back into life in that moment, get present, and try to readjust my focus to what matters as opposed to the overwhelming feelings that might be making me feel not calm at all. So, my three things, how I stay calm as a person with an experience of life of not being calm. I have a Sagittarius stellium and I'm a Cancer rising. Let me tell you, calm is not how I was born. I was not born calm. That fire and that water, they burn and bubble and boil, and I am not what anybody who knows me would say is a naturally, like, not reactive person. So it has taken me a lot to calm down, not react, and just center myself. And this year is a real testament to these practices because, like I said, some things happened this year that in the past would have just rocked me at my core and didn't happen. Like, things that it's probably been one of the best years of my adult life, actually. I gotta say, 2023 has been one of the best years of my adult life, and the number of things that have happened that would make it not be one of the best years, the list is long. It's very long. And yet it's like I feel great. I feel so good. So again, my first thing, how do I want to feel? I use the framework that we teach. So if you're a holistic witchery student, you have that framework, tap into it, use it. We have an example of the framework in our free Stay Magic digital magazines, totally free. And there's actually a framework in there for how to release your past, and it'll take you through the 5 steps of the framework. But I use it for asking myself, how do I want to feel? That's one of the ways I stay calm. Just ask, how do I want to feel? I get in my body, how do I want to feel? Number 2, this one works for me. It might not work for everybody, but what's the worst that could happen? And typically, like, I'm not going to lose my home. I'm going to live. Everyone's going to be okay. I can calm myself down. So I think these are different kinds of not calm also, right? There's like mad, not calm, there's anxious, not calm, overwhelmed, not calm. So you can use these in different ways. And then the third thing is, why do I want this thing, or why am I here? What's my why in this moment, to help refocus, recenter on what matters, what got you there to begin with, um, and why you might not be feeling calm because maybe there's such a great attachment, or maybe something happened, an outcome you desire, you feel like it's not going to happen. And then in the case of anxiousness and nervousness, really help you to gain the confidence and just say, I am passionate about this. That's why I'm doing this. And to help you push through, because sometimes really you got to push through. So there's the different calms. There's the nervous calm, like not calm. You're not calm because you're nervous. And then you're not calm because you're mad and you're reactive. So these work in different ways depending on what the scenario is. But I hear it all the time from people, like that they're afraid and then they get nervous and anxious, or that they just are continuously like mad at people in their life or mad at the world, and they struggle with that. So I thought I'd share with you today these 3 things that I do to stay calm. All right, everyone, pick one, use it today. The easiest thing is, how do I want to feel? No matter what kind of not calm you are, how do I want to feel? A great way to sort of reorient yourself, adjust your internal energetic temperature, and just come back home to the moment, and then go from there. Make sure to check out our free Stay Magic digital magazine if you haven't yet. The fall issue is out. There's resources for you in there, to help you tap into connection in all kinds of areas of life. And we'd love for you to get your hands on that. And if you're in holistic witchery, be sure check out your 5 eye framework information, because that's a beautiful tool to use as you work to recenter at any point in time. All right, y'all. Until next time, I hope that you have an enchanted rest of your. If you liked this episode of the Expedition to Soul podcast, please rate, review, subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it will really help us spread everyday magic, intention, and intuition to the masses, and helps us so much as a small business. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. There are new episodes every Tuesday. And as always, thank you so much for listening and being part of the community here at the Sisters Enchanted. And we'll see you in the next episode.